The religious, they aren't smart. We all know that. But what if I told you that there were people out there who made the religious look like positive geniuses, the height of rationality, and some of the best educated people on the planet? Yeah, that's where we're going today, because why the hell not? Reach the end of this video and tell me I'm wrong. Alright, this starts off as one thing, and it ends up as something completely different. This is just pure insanity, and I don't mean that hyperbolically. So today, we're going to look at someone who claims that atheism and theism are effectively the same thing, and then, yeah, okay, you just have to see this for yourself. Get out your tinfoil hat, because this one's going to be bumpy. And I think you'll see what I mean by the end.
Another example is atheism versus theism.
I guess it depends on what you mean by that. Now, I'm sure he'll spell it out coming up, at least I hope so. But for me, I can't see how his statement is wrong. Granted, his video is called "Atheism Has the Same Structure as Religion," which is laughably untrue. Atheism has no structure whatsoever. That suggests to me that he's got no idea what atheism even is, which, granted, wouldn't remotely be a surprise because, most theists don't. Now, I've got no idea at all if Leo here is a theist. I'm not going to delve into this all that much because I really don't care, but ignorance seems par for the course. So let's let him continue and see where he's going to go so horribly wrong.
Many people believe that these are polar opposites, as opposite as two things can be, an atheist versus a theist. The atheist is very rational, doesn't believe in God. The theist believes in God and religious stuff.
Well, that is a very simplistic view of it all. But let's make this a little bit easier for you. Theists make certain claims about gods or other supernatural stuff. We're not limiting this to just monotheism or anything like that. Atheists, at least the vast majority of them of which I'm aware, simply say, "I don't believe you." That's the sum total of atheism. We don't believe you, specifically because you haven't presented sufficient evidence to support your position. That's the easiest way to put it. Granted, I am treating him like he's a theist, which I don't know, maybe he is, maybe he isn't. But if he wasn't, I can't imagine why he'd be talking about atheism at all, because atheism shouldn't make a difference. So I guess until I get further information, we're just going to do what we do. It's all just going to fall apart pretty soon, I'm sure, so let's watch.
But this is not true at all. There is a much deeper structural similarity between the two than both of them like to admit.
Except you can't possibly get there. We can't conceivably have a structural similarity to anything because there's nothing at all structural to atheism. Of course, I assume that next he's going to try to tell atheists what atheism is, because that's really common, something that will bear absolutely no resemblance to anything that actual atheists think. And as I said, this is really common among the religious, as we all well know. They are not concerned with what we actually say or how we actually think. No, they think they know us better than we know ourselves. I mean, just ask them. So I don't think this is going to go over very well, but for a channel dedicated to drug use and other stupidity, I'm not exactly surprised.
It's the same issue as with the Shias and the Sunnis. The metastructure of what atheists and theists are doing is they're both believing.
Nope, we're rejecting belief. We are saying we don't believe. We do not accept the claims that are being made because they are utterly unsupported. It's really hard to get this any more wrong than he's getting it right now, but this is incredibly common among the religious because, as we all know, they aren't remotely interested in factual reality. They're only stroking their own egos, and if that means having a bizarrely skewed view of the truth, well, that's just no big deal. The truth isn't important to them anyhow. So let's let him keep on going, because I don't think he's anywhere remotely in the vicinity of reality.
Atheism is a belief system. Theism is a belief system. Both atheists and theists believe that their beliefs are not just beliefs, but that they're the truth.
It's so nice that he thinks he can tell us what we believe, right? I mean, without running any of this past us. But how often have we seen this happen in other religious type channels? They're not interested in what atheism actually is, only how they can use it for their own nefarious purposes. They want to cast atheists as their polar opposites, their fanciful boogeyman, so they can point to us, or their imaginary image of us, and tell other believers, well, you don't want to be like that. But that's stupid, it really is. This is called projection, and that's nothing that you ought to be proud of.
Both of them believe that they're right. Both of them believe the other side is wrong. Both of them believe that if my side just wins and conquers the other side, that's going to be for the best of everybody else. That's going to be the truth.
No, in fact, most atheists are looking for the truth. They're just not convinced that theists have it. And that's why the vast majority of atheists are also skeptics. We are looking to achieve the best understanding that we can of the real world as we can see it, unlike the religious who are only after emotional comfort. It's at times like this that I have to wonder if he's ever actually talked to a real live atheist in his life, or if he's just getting all of this from his imagination and his likely religious upbringing. If he had one, of course, because again, I don't know. This just isn't what's really going on in the real world. He's just being an idiot.
And so the fantasy of the atheist is that one day atheism will reign supreme and theism won't exist at all, and God will be removed from all the books and never talked about again because it's so ridiculous.
He might be half right. I mean, you're not going to get rid of the idea of God from history because, it happened. However, a lot of people are convinced that theism is objectively hazardous to society, and so, yeah, the sooner that goes away in the modern world, the better it will be for everyone. Now, that has absolutely nothing to do with atheism being right, because atheists don't make any truth claims. It's very possible for us to say you're wrong based on a complete lack of any corroboratory evidence that you might have presented by the religious side without proposing a truth claim on our own. You can be wrong without us being right. I'm not sure if he's actually aware of that.
And the fantasy of the theist is that one day his religion and his God will be taught in all the schools, and atheists will be long gone, cast out or whatever, or admit of their ignorance.
Well, yes, that is true of many religions. I mean, not all, of course. There are plenty that have zero interest whatsoever in taking over. Judaism, for instance, especially some of the more fundamentalist forms, they will always be small because you have to be born an ethnic Jew to take part. They don't take converts. If your mother wasn't a Jew, you can't be a Jew either. There are plenty of other religions like that out there as well. They tend to be small for obvious reasons, but they certainly do exist. And now I'm starting to think, this guy doesn't have any clue what theism is either. Maybe he just doesn't have a clue at all.
This is what's going on. You see the deeper structural similarity here?
No, because as is becoming more and more clear all the time, you're an idiot. I mean, if you were talking about Christianity or Islam or some other religions, then you might be partially right. But as there are plenty of denominations of all of them that just aren't expansionistic, he'd still be mostly wrong. Now, it is possible, I suppose, that he equates theism with Christianity as a matter of course, because we do see that a lot, especially from Christians. They don't understand that there's a very wide range of religious beliefs out there that have nothing at all to do with their ideas of theism. They're just going off of what they know, which is why they get it wrong so often. I'm honestly trying to give him the benefit of the doubt here, but it's getting more and more and more difficult as time goes on.
Of course, atheists don't like to admit that atheism is a belief. They like to say that, no, Leo, atheism isn't a belief, it's a lack of belief.
Because it is. See, this is what pisses a lot of people off. The religious, or whatever the hell he is, spend their time telling us what we think, what we believe, and what we do, as if they know us better than we know ourselves. And then we tell them that they're mistaken, they will invariably tell us that we're wrong. We can literally not be wrong about what we actually think. It is absolutely not possible for us to be wrong in reporting what is in our own heads. I mean, we could lie, I guess, but why would you assume we're going to do that? This is just bullshit. But then again, are we really that surprised? Because I know I'm not.
No, it's not a lack of belief. Atheism is a belief that there is no God and that there can't be a God and that the idea of a God is ridiculous.
No, you're just an imbecile. This is, of course, the point where you should just walk away from any theist, I mean anyone really, who thinks they can tell you what's in your own head, and if you tell them otherwise, you're wrong. They are clearly not an honest interlocutor. We're just going to stick with this through the end of the video because that's kind of what we do around here, but understand that anyone who tries this with you, the only thing they deserve is to get laughed in the face and then just walk away. They are just not worth your time.
That's essentially what atheism boils down to. It's not based on any actual proof or even on reason. I mean, atheists, of course, like to say that their beliefs are based on reason, but hey, you know what? Every religion and all the theists like to say that their theism and all their religious ideas are all based on reason.
And this is where you say, back that up. Because for the religious, they never can. It's all based on faith and fifis, nothing else. Atheists, who aren't making any of the claims that he's pretending that we make, we don't have to say that because we're not making any claims. We have nothing to defend. We just don't believe the religious. So yeah, go ahead, asshole. Tell me that I'm wrong. Make sure you have direct quotes from any of my videos in context, they're all right there, showing that that's what I'm doing. Of course, he won't be able to, and I suspect he doesn't care because this isn't at all about honesty. This is just about another fucking idiot making a complete fool of themselves on YouTube. Because what the hell else is new?
Reason is not the exclusive province of atheists. Everybody champions reason towards whatever they believe.
No, they claim reason. That doesn't mean that they exercise reason. These words actually mean things. I don't know if you figured that out, but they do. It's like when the religious claim that they have evidence. Great, present it, because they never can. Or what they do present, it isn't actually evidence because it doesn't directly point to anything. You know, the classic, well, I don't get it, therefore God crap. Things based entirely on logical fallacies and irrational wishful thinking because it makes them happy to believe it. And that's not evidence, and whatever this doofus is thinking, it's not reason. It's almost like they have no clue what the hell they're doing. Oh right, that's because they don't.
So you can't adjudicate this problem based on reason or logic or facts.
Bullshit. That's the only way that we can actually adjudicate any problem. You don't just get to declare that what you feel means more than what's objectively true. And unfortunately, I've run into my fair share of theists who will say exactly that, who don't give a damn what's demonstrable or defensible, so long as they get an emotional high off of it, it's just gotta be true. But that's stupid, it really is. How do you get to that conclusion, and how do you support it rationally? You either do or you don't. And this guy clearly doesn't understand that.
Because it's not about facts. It's about belief. It's about your worldview. It's about your metaphysics.
And there we go. It's all about your fee-fees. Sorry, but all of those things are completely irrelevant. Reality isn't about your feelings. It's about what's actually going on in the objective reality that we all share. A God either exists or it doesn't. And it doesn't matter how you feel about it. It either exists or it doesn't. Bigfoot either exists or it doesn't. Your emotional attachments don't matter. Honestly, when I started this video, I didn't think he was going to be this dumb, but there you go. I mean, how stupid can one person be? Because we might hit a new world record.
It's about the epistemology that you're using. But to understand these higher things, you'd have to go meta. You'd have to go above both atheism and theism and look at the commonalities between these things. But of course, most atheists and theists don't want to admit the things that I'm saying here, and they will argue vehemently with me, and they will try to criticize me and poke holes and debunk me and all this sort of stuff. But all of that is just the hypnotic pull of the content of your atheism or your theism.
Oh, good. Now he thinks he's smarter than everybody else. You know, when the rest of the planet thinks you're a complete whack-a-loon, well, declare that you know better than everybody else, and they're just all out to get you. This is about the point where I'm really starting to wonder if this is actually worth it. I mean, we already know he's not an honest interlocutor. He can't carry on an intelligent, rational conversation with anybody because he thinks he knows more about absolutely everything than anyone else, and he knows you better than you know yourself. This might be the first target that absolutely everybody on the planet would just dogpile on because he's both arrogant and stupid. But we're down to about a minute or so on his video, and frankly, right now, I just want to expose this dipshit. So, let's just keep struggling on and see how much worse it can get.
See, if you were willing to surrender all of that and to go meta, you would learn some powerful new things about yourself, about life, about how your mind works, how ideology works, how atheism works, how theism works. But if you're really attached, you don't want to do that. You don't want to go meta. You don't want your illusion spoiled.
Yeah, staring in the mirror, I see. This kind of thing is very, very common. I see it from lots of different people, including, funny enough, hard solipsists. You know, the people who think that they're the only ones that actually exist and everything else is just an illusion. And then they get on YouTube and make videos talking to all the illusions because, yeah. You come up with an explanation that makes sense for that one because I've never been able to. Good luck on that, though, because you're going to need it. These people seem very, very self-absorbed. I'll ask them to explain their processes, walk me through the steps, and we'll see if it's actually rational, and it never, ever is. And of course, it's always our problem because we can't see their great gift to reality. It's not their fault, and the entire process starts to get increasingly incoherent as they go on, just like it is here. This is how lunatics work, and if you go down to the insane asylum, I'm sure you'll find no shortage of people in straitjackets who think they've got everything figured out. They also tend to talk to the walls and think that's kind of normal.
Because if you did go meta, I promise you this, you would realize that both atheism and theism are deluded and are not true.
Well, since you clearly have no idea what at least one of those things are, I don't know why we ought to be listening to you for, well, anything. So let's just wrap this up and talk about it in an overview.
Both. See. But you can't realize that unless you're willing to let them go first. Which, of course, most people are not. So they're stuck at the level of content.
Yeah, all right, whatever. So this took me in a completely different direction than I had expected. And sometimes that happens, but rarely like this. I had to go out and look up this Gura guy, and he's just yet another online scam artist. If you head over to his entry on Rational Wiki, which I will link in the comments, apparently he thinks he's God. He runs a website called actualize.org, and on that he's got a forum, and I was poking around in there a little bit until I came up with this. This is a post where he essentially admitted that he has an ego that just won't quit. He apparently took down a video on solipsism, not because he was wrong, because of course he's never wrong, but because people disagreed with him on his conclusions. But no surprise, because he's convinced that people just aren't mature enough to recognize his wisdom, he's just not going to talk about it anymore because people just aren't ready. Yeah. Fuck you. This is yet another dumbass who is just imagining that he's some great teacher and everybody is hanging on his every word. No, you're just a dumb shit who has no clue what the hell you're doing, scamming the gullible because they're even dumber than you are. And I'm sure this will be some kind of travesty to him and his followers, but too bad. Reality is what reality is, and this guy can't even see reality from wherever the fuck he is. I'm just going to leave this here because this is one rabbit hole that even I don't want to go down. But if you want to talk about it in the comments, please feel free. If you know anything about this Leo loon, share your knowledge, because there's so many people out there that are just, oh my God, I never knew there were people that stupid. But there they are. This is one of those things I'm just not going to bother with again because, whoo boy, this guy is fucking nuts.
Boom, dicky, 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 boom.